Welcome to Redistricting in Michigan, the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission and Communities of Interest. This presentation is sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Oakland County. The League is a nonpartisan organization that encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in government. The League does not support or oppose parties or candidates. It was formed in 1920 as an outgrowth of the suffragist movement. We are in 50 states, and we have 27 local leagues in Michigan. Membership is open to anyone 16 and older. This presentation covers 3 related topics: redistricting and how gerrymandering affects it, the new Michigan constitutional amendment intended to end gerrymandering, and the new citizen-driven process for drawing election district lines. Most federal legislators, all state legislators, and many local legislators are elected from districts. These districts divide the state and the people who live in it into geographical territories, or districts, with each containing approximately the same number of persons as determined by the U.S. Census. The process of creating the district lines is often referred to as drawing the map. Michigan is in an enviable position, having moved the creation of election district lines from a gerrymandered legislature activity to an independent commission composed of voters. But that whole process is brand new and largely not known to or understood by the people. On top of that, the crucial 2020 census was delayed by politics and the pandemic, and public processes are happening virtually rather than in person. Michigan citizens, via the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission, have begun the process of drawing new lines for congressional and legislative districts. How the district lines are drawn determines which voters reside in each congressional and legislative district. In Michigan, we currently have 14 U.S. congressional districts, having lost one following the 2010 U.S. Census. We also have 38 Michigan Senate districts and 110 Michigan House districts. Every 10 years, following a U.S. Census, district lines must be redrawn to reflect changes in the number of persons living within the districts. In Michigan, the geographical areas of the districts have been historically determined by the majority political party. Beginning in 2021, the redistricting process will be done by a citizens' commission. Changes in U.S. Census counts result in a need to redraw election districts. In the 1964 case of Reynolds v. Sims, the U.S. Supreme Court determined that the general basis of apportionment should be one person, one vote. This rule means that electoral districts must be generally equal in population size according to the most recent census, so that each person's vote is equally weighted. Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act blocks district lines that deny minority voters an equal opportunity to participate in the political process and to elect representatives of their choice. This requirement sometimes results in the creation of districts where a recognized minority makes up the majority of the population, such as in Michigan's 14th Congressional District. Prior to the 2020 Michigan constitutional amendment that established redistricting by a citizens' commission, redistricting was done by legislators. The result was gerrymandering. Here are examples of how district lines could be drawn. The examples show districts with voters composed of 2 parties, purple and green, and assume that voters vote along party lines. The map on the left has no lines. All voters are in one district. The next map shows districts that are compact. Lines are drawn vertically, and the voting outcomes within the total area matches party distribution. The next map has districts that are compact but unfair, because the district lines strongly enhance the likelihood that green votes will win each district. The last map on the right shows districts that are neither compact nor fair. Note the hard turns in the lines. This gerrymandering illustration was published in the Washington Post. How the lines are drawn determines the balance between 2 political parties. In the first example, which shows the cracking of communities to dissipate their influence, the Green Party is likely to win all 4 districts. In the second example, which shows the packing of those with similar voting patterns into a single district, the Purple Party is likely to win 1 district, while the Green Party is likely to win the other 3. The number of U.S. congressional members is fixed at 435. with members being reallocated among the states after every U.S. Census count. Because of a growing population, the number of Michigan congressional seats climbed from 12 in 1900 to 19 in 1960 through 1970. Since then, Michigan's population has declined, causing Michigan to lose congressional seats to other states. However, Michigan still ranks 8th in the number of seats it has in the U.S. House. Each congressional district contains about 710,000 people. Each district elects a representative to the U.S. House of Representatives for a 2-year term. There are no term limits to these elected positions. This slide shows an example of district gerrymandering in Michigan, one of the worst examples in the country. This district has a 79% Democratic Party base, and more than 80% of the population is African American. Drawing the district in this manner was detrimental because it packed all area Democrats into a single district, creating a disproportionate number of Republican districts in adjacent areas. This map highlights the 2012 Michigan Senate districts based on the results of the 2000 census. The Senate has 38 members, each representing a district composed of between 212,400 to 263,500 residents. Senators are elected at the same time as the governor and serve 4-year terms concurrent with the governor's term of office. Senators are limited to 2 4-year terms. This map highlights Michigan House districts from the redistricting that occurred in 2012. These districts will remain as is until 2022. There are 110 Michigan members who represent about 77,000 to 91,000 residents. Representatives are elected in even-numbered years to 2-year terms, with the current term expiring on December 31, 2022. Each representative is limited to serving 3 terms, or 6 years. In November 2018, 61% of Michigan voters decided to end gerrymandering by approving Proposition 2, an amendment to the Michigan Constitution that moved the power to draw election district lines from the legislature into the hands of voters. The amendment created a body called the Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission and set clear standards for how district lines should or should not be drawn. It also set standards to ensure a transparent, impartial, and fair process for creating districts. The Commission's decisions must be transparent. To achieve this, all current and past meetings are available on YouTube. It must be impartial, with 4 Democrats and 4 Republican members, and 5 members who are declared independent voters or members of a minor political party. The Commission is also required to draw lines that neither favor nor disfavor incumbents, any political party, or former politician. This slide illustrates the size and makeup of the MICRC: 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans, and 5 independents or members of a minority party. Commission members had to meet 2 requirements. They were registered and eligible to vote in Michigan, and submitted an application to become a commission member. The selection process goal was to have a commission that reflected the state's geographic and demographic composition. Individual citizens were invited to apply using the Secretary of State website. In addition, the Secretary of State's office mailed applications to 10,000 randomly selected qualified voters who could then apply using the redistrictingmichigan.org website. After June 1st, a random process, weighted to reflect the geographic and democratic makeup of the state, reduced the pool to 200 persons with the following composition: 60 were self-identified Democrats, 60 were self-identified Republicans, and 80 were self-identified independents. Independent voters could be members of minor parties or no party. The top 2 leaders in the Michigan House of Representatives and in the Senate could each strike 5 applicants, reducing the pool to 180. Then the final random selection produced 13 commissioners. Commissioners are holding numerous hearings across the state and consulting with its staff, attorneys, and experts who will use specialized software and data from multiple sources, including U.S. Census data, to draw district maps. The objectives are to create election district maps that meet the criteria in the new constitutional amendment and are approved by a strictly prescribed vote of the Commission. Before the Commission can vote on map approval, The district map must be tested using appropriate technology to ensure the map meets the criteria outlined in the Constitution. Approval of the new districts requires majority approval, that is, 7 of the 13, with at least 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and 2 independents voting for map approval. If these voting requirements cannot be met, each of the 13 commissioners must submit one final map that includes each state House, state Senate, and U.S. Congressional district. The Secretary of State will then choose from among these submitted maps. These are the 7 criteria that the maps must meet in the order of priority shown. Districts must be of equal population size and comply with the U.S. Constitution, the Voting Rights Act, and other federal requirements. These override state requirements. Districts must be geographically contiguous. Districts will reflect population diversity and communities of interest that share cultural or historical characteristics or economic interests. No packing, no cracking, no favor or disfavor to an incumbent or candidate, and county, city, and township boundaries will be considered. All districts will be reasonably compact. There must be public hearings both before and after the proposed district maps are drawn. There must be at least 10 public hearings in different geographic locations before the drawing of the district maps, and at least 5 public hearings after the proposed maps are drawn. The meetings must be open to the public and accessible via television or online. The public may also submit plans and underlying data for the Commission's consideration. These become part of the public record. The Commission must publish all plans and allow at least 45 days for public comment. The Commission, its staff, attorneys, and consultants may not discuss redistricting matters with the public outside of a public hearing, except if it occurs in writing. After new district maps are adopted by the Commission, it must publicize the maps and provide a report explaining the Commission's decisions and resources used to reach those decisions. These new maps will be used for the 2022 election. Since the amendment was adopted, some Commission deadlines have changed due to pandemic-caused delays in obtaining and producing the 2020 U.S. Census information. Information about reapportionment of congressional members is delayed from late December 2020 to probably late April 2021. Final detailed census numbers used to draw district lines are likely to be delayed from April 1st to probably late September 2021. The Michigan Constitution requires the Commission to complete the maps by November 1st, 2021. However, the Commission has requested an extension from the Michigan Supreme Court. Next, we'll focus on the concept of communities of interest that was included within the amendment and discuss what they are and why they matter. A community of interest may share cultural characteristics, historical characteristics, or economic interests. Each state has its own definition for communities of interest, so there is no established guidance for this aspect of redistricting. It is the 3rd highest priority for the Commission to use in creating the district maps, after following federal law and districts being geographically contiguous. Consideration of communities of interest is a higher priority than consideration of county, city, and township boundaries and being reasonably compact. To help you grasp the concept, this slide lists some examples of communities of interest: Hispanic, Latinx populations, adjacent school districts with similar issues, agricultural groups such as dairy farmers or orchard growers, groups sharing watershed or lakeshore, Native American tribes, neighborhood associations. These communities matter because, under the Michigan Constitution, they're meant to be the building blocks for districts. And why is that? The fundamental purpose is to group members of communities of interest who live in the same geographical area into a single district, rather than scattering them among 2 or more districts. Remember the gerrymandering concept of cracking particular voters among several election districts to weaken their ability to elect one of them? The principle of communities of interest means grouping members of a community of interest together to ensure their voices are heard and that they can elect and then influence a lawmaker. The League will focus on those not represented by an existing group, and will collaborate with other groups such as VNP, MNA, and NAACP. Our goal is to identify communities of interest, connect with them, and support their participation in the redistricting process by testifying and providing maps to the Commission at its public hearings. The League of Women Voters of Michigan is monitoring the Commission's meetings to be sure all requirements as outlined in the constitutional amendment are followed. The League has and will speak before the Commission and has and will continue to meet with its staff as needed. The League encourages you to attend public hearings in your area, either as an individual or member of a group. Check the public hearing schedule that can be found at redistrictingmichigan.org. Please contact your local League of Women Voters for more information about communities of interest. Thank you for viewing this presentation. If you have any questions, would like further information, or would like to volunteer, please contact the League of Women Voters Oakland area at LWVOA.org.